Now you got to deal with this. We're going to have to talk about this one way or the other. Prophet Muhammad talked about somebody coming after him. Yeah. But the prophet said there would be no messengers after him. Could it be that he made a mistake? Come on. Well, we don't like to think like that. Well, if you say he's the last and none will come after him, if the last sweeper has done his work in this house, what condition should the house be in? The last sweeper has swept. Then why should I find dirt in every corner if the last sweeper has swept? Somebody came in the house after he swept and put dirt in the house that another sweeper has to come and sweep it clean.
I was never involved in any capacity. I was not a participant, was never on Epstein's plane, and never visited his private island.
Dave Neal here with Rush Hour News. We have a lot of questions. What is she trying to get ahead of? Well, now we know what she's trying to get ahead of. The rumors are, I think the reason Melania is getting ahead of this is Amanda Ungaro, model, Epstein survivor, and mother of a child, shared with Zempoli, who was part of introducing Melania to Trump at Kit Kat Club. They are now publicly calling her out. Zempoli called ICE on Amanda and had her deported. So here's the evidence of that, or at least the screen grabs. Amanda Ungaro is going scorched earth, and God bless her for doing what she has to do, right? She said, I have nothing left to lose in my life. I will tear down the entire system. Be careful with me, bitch. I will tear down your corrupt system, even if it's the last thing I do in my life. I will go all the way. I am not afraid. Maybe you should be afraid of what I know, or who you are, and who your husband is. And then she tagged Pam Bondi. Are you already aware of the situation? Do you fully understand the extent of the information I possess regarding you and the individuals associated with you? I strongly advise you to consider the seriousness of these matters. Any actions taken against me or attempts to escalate the situation could have significant legal consequences. I expect this to be handled with the appropriate level of responsibility and professionalism moving forward. She responds to FLOTUS, I'll take legal action against you and your pedophile husband. Whoa. I have known you for 20 years. You knew I was detained in ICE. You were present in my life every year on my son's birthday, even sending Secret Service and being the first to congratulate him back in 2016. Something was clearly wrong, but I am not part of any evil mission involving children. So what did you do, Melania? You tried to involve me, but you failed because I have character. So how did Melania try to involve her? Does she know of trafficking? Was Melania working with Ghislaine Maxwell? I mean, these are insane questions to ask. Amanda Ungaro taped an interview with Spain's El País airing this weekend. Hey, don't let me stop you. Let's hear it, right? We want the truth to come out. Let's drain the swamp, folks.
Believe you me, after Trump, America is finished. It's not about Trump. I don't know the man. And I'm getting no benefits out of this anyway. Believe you me, I've never seen him. I've seen him on YouTube, whatever, here and there, bits and pieces. But I don't know him. But I'm telling you, Trump is the last one. Because after the trumpet will be blown. You know why America is going to fall? Which is the United Nations, yeah? 2 reasons. Because America is challenging God at the moment. It's challenging the Lord. It's going to fall for 2 reasons. One, internally. The other reason is externally. The internal reason, there will be traitors within America. There are traitors within the White House. There are traitors within the Pentagon. There are traitors within the governmental system. Traitors who have sold America. And the reason why these traitors came up on surface, because America walked away from the Lord. The Lord allowed them to be punished. to teach them that I'm in charge, not you. You think you can rule the world? It is the Lord who rules the world, not you. So when you challenge me, I will allow infiltrators from within your circle to come and do wondrous things, destroy America. A lot of traitors are within America. And the external reason, it is the wrath of God. Jesus Christ will come very heavily on America. The wrath of God. But internally there is a lot of traitors. They literally sold it. You remember this. The day America goes, remember what's going to happen to the Christians. Very harsh. Very harsh. But the problem with America, it will take the rest of the world with it when it goes down.
Mr. Trump, you're the leader of America now. You need to try to make America safe from the wrath of God, her chastisement over the wickedness that you all have been involved in since your inception. Since you are the last of the presidents, maybe, that has a chance on your watch to delay the judgment of God. You have a secret chamber in the White House, place where you can go to pray. But Mr. Trump, I really don't see you falling down on your knees. God has to knock you down on your knees because your arrogance, your false pride in the little money you have. Can I show you something from the Quran? Listen to this. It says, all that a man hath of the wealth of the earth, if he had it in his hand and the like of it with it, they would gladly ransom it in the day of resurrection to keep the chastisement of God away from them. Mr. Trump, you won't bow down on your own, but the scripture says every knee will bow and every tongue will be forced to confess. We say it in Arabic that there is no God but Allah, and you say it that Jesus Christ is Lord. Same thing. Bow down.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the channel. And we've seen that another sweeper has to come, and when he comes, he has to sweep it clean. This whole thing fits the pattern of how Minister Louis Farrakhan speaks about the cycles of collapse and renewal, especially when he criticizes the American power structure. He also comes and frames that the American system was built up internal with the lack of moral decency, inequality, racial injustice, and then he goes ahead and argues that when the system reaches that level, it does not quietly reform itself, it gets swept away. Well, let's get to see the rest of the clip that I have made for us, and I'll be back with more commentary. Drop your thoughts down below, and I'll be back with more comments.
26. Something strange was written. A political novel almost nobody remembered. A book called The Last President. It begins with chaos in New York. A shocking election. Crowds flooding Fifth Avenue. Newspapers warning that the nation is doomed. And the new president? A wealthy New Yorker who wasn't supposed to win.
Great job. I look very much forward to being your president.
The writer was
And hopefully
Ingersoll
at the end of
Lockwood,
2 years.
an American lawyer turned novelist. Before The Last President, he wrote 2 books about a boy named Barron Trump, spelled exactly like Donald Trump's youngest son. Barron Trump.
A very tall son named Barron. Has anyone ever heard of him?
In the story, Barron is a brilliant kid growing up in a luxurious New York estate called Trump Castle. His mentor? A man named Dahl. These details aren't theories. They're printed, published, and archived. In The Last President, a wealthy outsider runs for the White House. The elites laugh.
Not going to be a President Donald Trump. That's not going to happen.
Can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it Saturday night skit.
The newspapers mock him. Pollsters insist he can't win.
Better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket next.
I know you don't believe that.
And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Right now, Donald Trump. You're not going to be president, all right?
Yet he wins.
Donald Trump wins the presidency. The business tycoon, a TV personality.
Violent protests explode across New York. Fifth Avenue becomes the epicenter of panic. The same street where Trump Tower stands today, at 725 Fifth Avenue. The book even describes the new leader as a New York aristocrat who owns massive real estate holdings. Exactly like Donald Trump.
I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
Now compare that to 2016. Trump was mocked.
Not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank. Okay. I guarantee it. All right.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red cakes.
He will never be president of the United States.
At real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
Polls predicted a Clinton landslide. Dozens of newspapers endorsed Hillary. Not one endorsed Trump.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
That I will faithfully execute
And what happened
I will
next?
faithfully execute
the office of
Riots in Portland, Seattle, Chicago, Washington, and especially in New York. Crowds marched through Manhattan chanting, "Not my president." Media outlets called it the end of democracy.
Extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Time magazine warned of an American decline. Exactly the atmosphere described in Ingersoll's novel, written 120 years earlier. As president, Trump governed like an outsider.
But he did win. His first 100 days in office just as unpredictable as his victory and filled with controversy.
The new order suspends U.S. visas, including green cards, for citizens of 7 predominantly Muslim countries, effective immediately.
National Security Advisor Michael Flynn forced to resign.
From the revolving door of departures, big names one after the next.
He fought with the establishment.
President Trump lashing out.
He clashed with the media. He rewrote trade policy. He broke old alliances. And he reshaped the Supreme Court.
Very fine people on both sides.
But even in the chaos, the administration has seen legislative success.
It's always a lot of fun when you win.
The president fulfilling campaign promises, including criminal justice reform, pushing through a new tax plan, renegotiating NAFTA, and creating a Space Force, the first new branch of the military since the Air Force was added in 1947.
Supporters said he was the first president to truly fight the system. Critics said he was tearing the system apart either way. It was a presidency that changed everything, just like the novel.
Russia did indeed try to tip the scale to help President Trump win in 2016. He sparked bipartisan outrage when he publicly bowed to Vladimir Putin when Putin denied Russian interference. It did indeed meddle in the election, but it did not establish.
Here's where the parallels get even stranger. Trump became the first president in over 130 years to lose re-election
Please raise
and then
your right
return.
hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully...
The last person who did that was Grover Cleveland in the 1800s. Now Trump holds two numbers, 45th and 47th. A political comeback almost nobody believed was possible. Ingersoll's novel describes a president whose rise marks the end of an era and the collapse of old political powers.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I will not let it happen.
Trump's return feels exactly like that.
They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way. I'm standing in their way. Thank you.
A rebellion against the establishment. A new populist era. A moment that breaks the old political cycle. Let's list the documented coincidences. A wealthy New Yorker becomes president in the book and in real life. His victory sparks riots on Fifth Avenue, the same street as Trump Tower. The book's child character is Barron Trump, mentored by a man named Don. Both stories focus on class conflict, political corruption, and a nation on the brink. The novel calls him a last president, symbolizing the end of the old political era. Coincidence? Prophecy? Or just history repeating itself? History has a strange sense of humor. Sometimes it whispers warnings, and sometimes it leaves breadcrumbs across centuries for future generations to discover. In 1896, Ingersoll Lockwood imagined a president who would arrive at a moment of national chaos. A president the elites feared. A president the people rallied behind. A president who would shatter the old order. 120 years later, Donald Trump stepped onto that stage, not as a politician, but as a force of disruption, a breaker of systems, a symbol of a country tired of being ignored. And when the world thought his story was over, he returned. 45th and 47th, a number sequence no one alive today ever thought they'd see again. A comeback so improbable, feels like fiction. So now the question isn't whether the last president predicted Trump. The question is something deeper. Why does this story fit him so perfectly? Is it prophecy? Is it fate? Or is Trump simply the kind of character history keeps waiting for? The kind who refuses to be written out.
Donald Trump is not just your next president, he's your last president. That's a prophecy. You could take it in the name of Jesus. Anyone who tries to run against him, you're going to lose. Anyone who tries to contest his power and what he's going to build over the next couple months and years, you are destined to lose. It is written. It's prophecy. There's going to be lots of unaliving. You're going to see the children of Israel, the transatlantic slave trade descendants, go before Trump, tell him, send them out with their reparations so they can leave. Once they leave, Gentiles, believers in Christ, are going to leave with them to go to Mount Zion to build the house of prayer for all nations. When that happens, you're going to see destruction because this is going to be a king coming over a republic that used to be a democracy, and there's a lot of people that's going to fight against it, but they don't know their scriptures. They're going to lose. If you want to leave with us, sign a petition to join the call. Join the call in my bio or the comment section. Now that you know President Trump's your last president, what do? You're going to see him expand the United States into 7 different territories in the name of Jesus. That's a prophecy. When he does this, many men are going to flee to the land of their fathers. That's what the prophecy said. You're not going to do that. You're going to follow the children of Israel. The children of Israel going to D.C. to tell President Trump to let us go with our reparations. We are leaving the country to repatriate. We're not asking for reparations to stay. When this happens, the prophecy says that many of you are going to take hold to the Jews as we leave, and you're going to follow us saying, we believe God is with you. We're going to Mount Zion to build a house of prayer for all nations. Mount Zion is in Judea, in the West Bank, in a city called Telerod, where you can see the temple that David's men took from the Jebusites. It's still there to this day, and David's tabernacle is going to be lifted up, and we're going to build a place where everyone can come and praise and pray. We're going to be there for 3.5 years, and then they're coming to get us, and we're going to the wilderness. Join the call, sign the petition in my bio if you're leaving with us. It's also in the comment section.
The nature of this administration is good for us. Because of Trump's way, he is an anomaly. There's never been no president quite like Mr. Trump. There's something that he's doing. Trump is destroying every enemy that was an enemy of our rise. Who's the enemy of our rise? Is it the Department of Justice, where we get none? Is it Congress, where you make a law that favors us and then you turn around and destroy it? Is it the media that has destroyed every black leader that stood up for us? Martin Luther King suffered it. Malcolm suffered it. He's attacking the media, calls it fake news. We have been the victims of some fake news.
Yes.
He's beating up the FBI. Go at it, baby!
Yeah.
They've been beating the hell out of us ever since J. Edgar Hoover and the counter.
The world will have to move on without America. People are still to this day asking, why aren't these people doing anything? And let me explain to you guys something about the United States as someone with an immigrant background who grew up here and who hates it here. So I was an English literature teacher in Palestine to 8th grade students. These were 12 and 13-year-old children. One of the rules at the school that I worked at was that as teachers, we couldn't facilitate and initiate conversations about Israel. Do you think we never discuss Israel in the classroom? False. It was a constant topic. These children were able to relate themes in the books that we were reading to their lived experience. Some of these children were extremely apathetic when it came to literature, but whenever talking about their people, fighting for freedom, they would die for their country, the passion was there. These were 12 and 13-year-old children who were extremely political. In the United States, you can find grown-ass adults who couldn't tell you even the name of a state senator. As we've seen with that spring break video, there are adults walking around who do not know which countries their tax dollars are being utilized to destroy. Some people are not even aware that we're at war right now. Even worse, a lot of them only cared once their gas bill went up, once their Shein packages were delayed. One would think that every single person living in this country would be political, but that is not the case. A lot of people genuinely do not care, and a lot of people don't care enough to take the next step, to boycott, to withhold their money, to shop small, to contribute to some type of organizing, to even educate themselves. They are not willing to do that. And so this is why whenever I see people asking, when will you guys do something? I feel sorry for them. They do not know the nature of this country. If there are Americans who aren't educated, then they're cowardly. If they're not cowardly, they're apathetic. The people who are working hard to facilitate change in this country are an extreme minority. The people who are willing to go to the next step, the people who are educating, are a minority. And so everyone else, the world is going to have to move on without America. They're going to have to be more bold, more brave, more courageous, not that much smarter. But don't count on the United States and Americans joining you.
When you listen to these messages, you come to realize that people get to misunderstand these messages because one thing is that the kind of message that he delivers, they find audience even too late. And these messages might be long old, and they still find relevance today. But another thing is that there is also a lot of hidden messaging when it comes to the mode of delivery. And that whole thing is that when this guy says that there is a sweeper, there is something which is coming to get swept. This whole thing is not just literal. Sometimes he's pointing to things which are happening right now, like the economic collapse, the political up, upheaval, the divine judgment, depending on the audience and also the context. So that's where we tend to see that people tend to mistake this thing. They think it is a literal sweeper, a literal somebody who is coming to do something. But you come to realize that when you connect the dots with whatever thing is happening right now, you realize that the sweeper doesn't have to be a human being, literally. So this guy links the idea to someone like Donald J. Trump, and the message is less more about causing destruction to more about Trump being the symptom of something which is already broken. So in his framing, we see that Trump gets to expose the fault lines, and that's where we see the things like the race, the class tension, the kind of distract, and the kind of institutions and incorporations which tend to um, oppress the Americans. And they are showing that this guy gets to be the sweeper because he accelerates them, he makes them so amplified. And now, when he talks about the destruction, he wants about something which is not just physical but about the institutional and also psychological wise, because that's why we see the language sounds very dramatic, and that this guy is not talking about these policy details. He's talking about the collapse narratives. What happens when a country cannot hold its contradictions together anymore, and whether someone agrees with him or not. That stripper idea is basically his way of saying that the system did not drift forever. They eventually have to get a reset in one way or the other. So that's why we see that he's talking more about this sweeper. So now, when we get to see the warning about the sweeper, this whole thing is not framed like a policy argument. It sounds like something which is so inevitable, and a system which has pushed too far. Something comes in at the end, and it clears out, and the whole thing is the final act. We see that there is this drop of speculation around Baron Trump, and that claim you are actually proving is that there's something, or people are saying that the idea of Donald J. Trump could be the last president that is trying to be the king. He's trying to make it some as hereditary. He's trying to have his lineage stay so much in power, and that's now his own bloodline that they come and somehow have to sit at the center of anything that comes after. That's what now they are trying to link with the kind of a prophecy which these people are trying to bring up here. And now you come to realize now it's not about politics anymore, but that myth is built in real time. And I've seen that Farrakhan talks about collapse like it is already written. And another thing is that then these people have also got this kind of corners, and the internet is also trying to decode it. But reaching back to this kind of strange odd references, like the book which was written by Lockwood, and we've turned that fiction into signals, you come to realize that people are not just watching events, they are trying to signal and assign meaning to patterns. People are trying to connect the dots about their destiny, and that happens when trust to a system drops, because anything that they're doing brings doubt each and every time to these people. So people stop seeing leaders as temporary, and now they start seeing them as symbols. They start seeing them as some people who crave power and they don't want it to leave their hands. And we see that Trump stops now being the president and now he becomes the maker, because before and after we see that Byron is also being brought into the same lens, because this guy has become more than just a kid. He has become the placeholder in the story people are trying to make sense of. So the sweeper idea and the idea of Baron theory, they have to sit in the same lane, and they both are trying to answer the same question which people are having. And we seen that the whole thing it does not make sense to people, but they can see patterns. So when people usually come ahead and mix the set of the old novels which have been written in the 1800s, the whole story, like Baron Trump and the current Baron, you see that people online have this kind of um, connection. They're trying to connect the same thing because you see that in the narrative, um, you see that the narrative of these people, the Donald Trump and his son, have become the name, you know, and we see that there are also the few instances and constancies which are so vague nowadays. But when you actually look at the text, then these connections start to fall apart and others start to fall in place, and now the whole thing it becomes very heavily stretched. And that's why we're seeing that people are being so concerned about why are these people saying that Trump is the last president. Why are they saying that? Is it that they know something which we don't know? Have they seen this script before? Have they lived this whole thing before? Or is it a pattern which comes when there is a collapse of an empire? Because we know that most empires did close to, is it true, 100 years and now they started collapsing. So we don't really get to understand what the whole narrative lies about. But the thing of the sweeper coming to sweep and is not leaving any that behind as this kind of controversy which is being sent online, and people are questioning like how and what thing will happen after Trump, because you see that the next regime will have to inherit conflicts which they did not start. The next regime will have to deal with mess they did not start themselves. So that whole thing is bringing up a lot of mixed reactions. Well, that's what I had for us in this episode. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you've not subscribed to our channel, support us by subscribing now.